should just start doing all my videos like this so it looks like I'm some kind of alien flora. Hi viewers, my name's Cara and I'm gonna make a quick video, but I'm gonna check how this looks right now, and if it looks ridiculous, I'm not gonna continue like this. It didn't look entirely ridiculous, but this might be better. Okay, hi. So first of all, I would like to say, check out my outfit, because every other day I am TAing a course on pirates. It's the same thing that I did last year, except last year it was a colloquium and this time it's a writing seminar, so it's slightly different, a little more writing based, but I've already done all the reading for it, so all I have to do is do the reading, show up, and then I look at the students' papers, but I'm also trying to look a little bit medieval or piratey for everyone in the class. This is me really awkwardly preparing to get up. What I'm wearing. The other day I wore a little bit more full-out peasant top type deal. So now that I've talked about my outfit of the day, actually I didn't. I'm wearing jeans, heels, which you can't see. These. And some socks that really annoyed me because it looked like they were going to be something different. From the side, it looks like they're checkered, but on the front, they're just large blocks. I have no idea if you could see that. Anyway, moving on. Here's the actual video. So, I'm taking a class on stereotyping and prejudice, and part of the class is to come up with a target group that we are going to follow throughout the process, and then all of the articles that we read about prejudice and different types of prejudice and things like that, we're going to keep kind of a journal along the way, or like a log of readings, talking about what each of the readings has to do with our target group. So in the past, people have done target groups such as African American women, fundamentalist Christians, atheists, lesbians, bisexuals, any kind of group identity that might be subject to stereotype and prejudice. And so I had to come up with a couple ideas of what I might like to do. The first target group that I would like to look at is pagans, but then I said if that was too broad, I would narrow it down to Wiccans, or even more narrowly, solitary Wiccans. And it doesn't have to be a group that we're a part of, but I really think that it would be beneficial to me in the nature of what I like to talk about. I like to talk about my religion, I like to talk about my sexuality, and that's because they're minority things, I think. So I thought that it would be beneficial for me to do something that was either my religion, or my second choice was anything LGBT or bisexuals if I have to specify. So basically religions and sexuality kind of discrimination is really important to me, and so I would like to do that. But anyway, I told her that pagans were my first choice, and I want to preface and say that I am not making fun of this professor at all. I absolutely love her. I've taken a class with her before. I just think that her response was kind of adorable and a little bit heartwarming. I'll explain why in a second. So her response was that pagans are interesting, but maybe less applicable to prejudice readings, but she would think about it, and maybe we could find some news accounts or research on the stereotypes and prejudice, or maybe even discrimination about this interesting group of people. My tone just there got kind of sarcastic, but I promise I'm not making fun of her. I just read it and it made me think, really? Really? You think there might be stereotypes and prejudice? I might be able to find evidence of discrimination against maybe? I don't know, what do you guys think? Maybe? So it was just really funny to me, but then when I thought about it, it was kind of adorable because it made me feel good to think that some people don't know that we're discriminated against. Some people think that we're totally okay. And so it was kind of heartwarming to me, this is where it comes from, to think that she can't think of any reasons why we would be discriminated against. I think that is actually really cool. So at first I was like, what do you mean? There might be. But then I was kind of like, okay, positive outlook on this. This is cool that someone can't think of the fact that we would do it. So anyway, just to help her kind of think of the kind of things that I was thinking of that might work, I gave her some examples. I'll just read my email. I don't know quite how widespread it is, but pagans overall still get a lot of stereotyping from the general public as Satan worshippers and other things like that. Heathens Against Hate, and I hyperlinked it to the Heathens Against Hate website, began to counter the few groups brandishing racism and associating it with heathenism. I don't know as much about that, though. It's obviously against the law to hire someone based on religion, but people still know not to talk about their religion at work, especially if their employers are openly Christian-based. I put this in here because I got a question or a message from a viewer a while ago who is working in a team-based work setting, and they're the leader of a team, and they are pagan. The company, however, is very openly Christian-based, and many of their coworkers are Christian. So they were talking about how when their coworkers are talking about church, or when they're talking about God, and should they say anything? Should they bring it up at all. So I thought of that person when I put that in here. I have been asked to remove my religious symbol jewelry when working on a ghost tour and ghost hunting, which surprised me because you would think that would add to the atmosphere. I know people are told not to wear it at their jobs. I know people who are told not to wear it at work, so that's true. Although Christians and Jews commonly wear their symbols. I do also know some people who get away with wearing their pentacle in public because most people mistake it for a Star of David, which is kind of funny. There could be more information about things like that, or the process it took to have pentacles be acceptable to put on military gravestones, which passed in 2007, and I gave her 2 links to articles about that. Other stuff is within the community, like one group of pagans discounting the validity of another because they're different. Some traditionalists refuse to admit that solitaries are valid members of their faiths, for example. And there was an article I read recently where a pagan meeting ground was vandalized in Wales beyond repair, and they are considering it a religious hate attack. And I gave her the link to that article, which is from The Telegraph. You all may have seen it. If not, I will put the links in the description, actually, so you can check this stuff out. And then I just said I would definitely have to do some more research to see how much of this is out there. I'm sure I could find more and ask people to send me links of the stuff that they know about. And of course, I don't know what's coming up in the class, so she could definitely tell me more whether these kinds of things will make it applicable. So, and her response was that this seems like a very rich and interesting subject, and she thinks that my insider position will be a big help. So it sounds like I will be able to do pagans as my target group for stereotyping and prejudice. So anyway, I just wanted to share with you the fact that it's kind of funny to me that some people might not know that pagans are discriminated against, and that it's kind of cool that people can't think of why we would be discriminated against, and to ask you if you have any more examples. One example that I do know of that I didn't think of when I was writing the email, which was really silly, was that there was a video online a little while ago of some kind of Christian group. I don't know what group it was, I can't remember, it wasn't WBC, I don't think. But some group of people who were videotaping themselves protesting a summer solstice celebration. There's a male taking the video, and it's like his family and his friends across the street with signs, and they're in front of a house where they know that a summer solstice celebration is going on, like at that person's house. And so they're making a video like, yay, look what we're doing, we're promoting hatred, la la la. And I tried to find that video, but I can't find it anymore, so if you guys know where it is, or maybe it got taken down because we all flagged it so much. But that's another thing I thought of. So things like that are probably what I'm going to be thinking of, and I'm also going to have to talk about the history of pagan discrimination, which is probably going to go all the way back to, you know, conversion to Christianity, so. But I hope that pagans won't be too broad of a subject. I hope that I will be able to do pagans in general instead of just having to move it down to Wiccans. But there will definitely be some times where I maybe focus on, well, this specific group is blah blah blah, and this specific group is said to be this, and stuff like that. So hopefully I'll learn more stuff, and I'll keep you updated on it if I come up with something really cool that I want to share with the internet. So yeah, funny things that happen in my life. That's it. So I will see you next time. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. Blessed be, and I'll see you later. Bye.